to this session from High-Level Coder, and this session will be an introduction to lambdas and an introduction to functional programming in Java. Remember that functional programming is right now one of the coolest thing, and I will also touch upon it briefly why functional programming is so cool and why we should try to adapt to it as much as we can. So, but before we go there, what are lambdas? Lambdas are basically method implementations. But method implementations of what? Method implementations of some functional interfaces. Like, for example, runnable or callable or comparator. So all those are functional interfaces, means they have a single method. So a lambda is an implementation of that single method of the functional interface. Now that particular method may not accept any argument, in which case the lambda will look like this, the third one below. It might accept only one argument, in which case the lambda will look like this, the second one from top, and it might accept multiple arguments. The method might accept multiple arguments, in which the lambda looks like this. And how do you actually identify lambda in your code? By a syntax like this, and then with an arrow, it is separated, the parameters are separated from the method body. So basically lambda is a concise syntax for a method, concise syntax for a method implementation of functional interface. And on the left hand side I have shown code where we have actually implemented the runnable task as a lambda instead of writing all the code that we used to do earlier. Similarly, we can actually write a lambda for comparable or write a lambda for a callable, and so on and so forth. Now, before we proceed, let me quickly request you, if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel High-Level Coder, then if you like my video, then please go ahead and subscribe to my channel, and also take a time to view my other videos and share it with your friends and whoever who might benefit from it, because that's going to motivate me to produce future quality videos. So what are some of the functional interfaces in Java? So traditionally in Java we had quite a few functional interfaces like runnable, callable, comparator, as I already mentioned. But with the introduction of lambdas, Java has also introduced some unique functional interfaces, which I'm going to talk about more. And I'm also going to show you a demo on the special functional interfaces like function, consumer, supplier, predicate, etc. Now let us try to understand what are these new functional interfaces are. So function is a functional interface which has a single, of course that's an interface, so it has a method which is not implemented. So function interface has a single method apply which accepts an argument and returns a value. So basically the purpose of the function functional interface is to actually apply a function on an argument to transform that argument or to transform that parameter to a different thing, which is the output. So that's the purpose of functional interface. Similarly, there is also a consumer functional interface which only accepts a parameter but does not produce any output. So it's basically something like which consumes. Similarly, there is a supplier interface which does not accept any parameter but only supplies or produces something. And also a predicate functional interface which has a method by the name test, which accepts a parameter and returns a boolean. But apart from function, consumer, supplier, predicate, there are also some other functional interfaces, but they are variants of this, like by consumer, etc. But if you understand these four functional interfaces at a broad level, then you should be able to understand the others as well. Now here is a class, here is a demo program wherein we can see a functional programming snippet, or basically a functional programming example using Java. So we know that in a function, normally the parameters that we accept in a function or a method are normally any primitive types or any objects. But we can also accept a function as a parameter within a function, and that's basically the beauty of functional programming. When functions are first-class citizens, that functions can be passed as parameters to a function, and functions can also be returned from the function. Now, in Java, the way in which we implement functional programming is that we actually pass a functional interface, and then in runtime we can actually pass a lambda which is an implementation of the function interface. Like for example, here is a calculate function, and the calculate function accepts a function interface, but that calculate function can actually accept different kinds of functions to calculate the area of different kind of objects. For example, the function to calculate the area of a circle would be different from the function which will calculate the area of a triangle, and that would be different from the function that will calculate the area of a rhombus, say, and that will be different from the function that will calculate the area of a triangle. So that is why we are accepting a function which encapsulates the logic to calculate something or to do something, and then we are also passing some value which is accepted by the function. So see, this calculate function accepts another functional interface, and in runtime we are actually passing different implementations of the functional interfaces or different lambdas here, which actually calculate the area of a square or circle or triangle. Again, I'm reiterating, when I'm actually passing a function to a function, the passed function actually encapsulates a behavior. So here, what you can understand here is I'm encapsulating the behavior of area calculation. So the main purpose of the calculate function is to calculate the area, but the area calculation will vary based on the type of the object whose area needs to be calculated. So that is why the area calculation function will be passed as a parameter which will encapsulate the logic to calculate the area. So just like we pass primitives or objects to a function, we are here passing a function to a function. Now already a lot of talks, so let us go ahead and see the demo, then it would be more clear. A quick demo of what I already explained. But before that, again, go to my repository, github.com/mshomik78, and then within that, high-level coder Java, high-level-coder-java, and please go to the branch name lambdas-demo, and if you go there, then you have got clear instructions out here to actually download the code, compile and run the code. So now I will open the IDE and I will show you the demo. So this is the demo of the thread class. Then say for example that area calculator demo. So this is the function, again calculate function, which accepts the function, and see, since this function is a functional interface, so it has that apply method and it accepts a parameter and it returns something. So I had actually used one functional interface to encapsulate the area calculation, and the area calculation for the specific type is actually within the lambda, again, which is an implementation of the functional interface. So each of these square functions, circle function and triangle function is a lambda, and each of these basically is an implementation of the functional interface function. So there are three implementations of the functional interface here. Then I can also create my own functional interface. Say for example, idate formatter. So if I want to create my own functional interface, I have to just annotate it with @functionalInterface, and there can be only one function there. So I can use that here. So see, again, this print date is a method, is a function which accepts a functional interface, which means it accepts a function, and I'm passing different implementations of the functional interface to the date formatter, to the print date function, and each of the implementation has its own formatter. So if you run this, then you will see that it will go to the print date and it will print the date corresponding to the implementation that is passed. So you can also, it is printing the current date like this. You can also, instead of the current date, you can also take the date of some specific date and can also format that date. So all what I'm trying to say is you can also create your own functional interface, and the main purpose that I would like to create the main reason for which I would like to create my own functional interface is if I want to encapsulate some behavior, if I want to pass behavior to a function, if I want to pass function to a function, and again, when I want to pass function to a function, when I want to pass some behavior to a function. So a function is something which which does a repetitive work, like print date. It does a repetitive work, it prints the date. But why I'm passing another function to the function is that the date itself which it will print, that can actually vary. The format of the date can vary. So that is why the format of the date is encapsulated in this function. And of course, the area calculator demo is something which is very simple to run, but that's a very classic example of how we can use the already implemented or already provided functional interfaces like function within the Java ecosystem. See, it has run and it has calculated the area. For your patient listening, if you have arrived till this point, I hope you have enjoyed my session, and I hope that was a quick introduction to lambdas in general and to functional programming in Java. And of course, I would request you to download my code and run it and play with that code and understand the way in which we pass function to a function in Java, like as a functional interface, and how we encapsulate behavior while we are passing a function to a function in Java. And last but not the least, if you like my explanation, if you like my video, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel, like this video, and also take a pause and watch my other videos and share it with your friends or whoever would be benefited from that, because that was going to motivate me further to produce quality content. Thank you again.